Originally, I was going to come in here and talk about, our themes for the year and our events. But every time I sit down to do a slide deck, I always think of something I heard from Simon Sinek, and that's that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So instead of just giving you a list of our upcoming events, I thought I'd give you a little insight as to who I am to some capacity and why I decided to become the learning chair. So that's me. That's what like Rob Ford would look like with a sweater. I've been in EO for about 2 years now. I've met some incredible.
Where did you get that photo?
That's on Facebook. It's public. It's public domain. It's also on Facebook. It's also public domain. So, anyways, this is awkward. But so I've been in EO now for 2 years. Met some incredible people. But one of the pains I've always had, or at least something I always felt was missing, is I'd go to learning events, and I remember looking at like fellow EO members and asking myself, how many people do you know outside of Forum? And this is way before I ever thought of becoming a learning chair or even had the opportunity to do so. It's just something every time I went to learning events, I always see people kind of go into the little tribes of Forum at a learning event. And I'd always ask myself, how many people do you know outside of your Forum? So I didn't want to go into this learning calendar blind. I sent out surveys a few weeks ago asking people some very, important questions to help me kind of build out this learning calendar based on everybody's feedback. So I was able to get some incredible, insight as to who the rock stars in EO are. One of the questions I asked was, in your opinion, who's the most impressive entrepreneur in EO and why? I got some great insight. So because of that, we're doing a Gather Around the Guru with Ronan Levy. He's doing a Gather Around the Guru around Lawyers Don't Suck. He's a former lawyer. I came up with that title myself. I've had bad problems with lawyers in the past. And I've always seen them as an expense. According to Ronan, though, if you're able to identify the right lawyer for the right position or for the right task in your business, it can be incredibly beneficial. So he's going to talk about that at his Gather Around the Guru on October 10th. On December 5th, we have a Gather Around the Guru with Ben Baldwin. Hiring doesn't have to be so painful. Ben's company, ClearFit, in essence, helps connect businesses with employees. And also helps assess their fit. Ben is also in a business that's growing extremely rapidly right now, so this is very timely for him. So I thought he would definitely be able to give us some insight on some, identifying A players and keeping them engaged, et cetera. But I also got some other interesting answers. One of them was, that's a big question. I don't feel like we get a good exposure to people outside our forum group. Hard to answer. Being a member for 13 years, I don't know many of the newer members who have joined in the past 2-3 years. And this is my favorite. I've only been around since January, so I don't know too many members yet. But Bill Dose gets my best dressed award, though. He cleans up really well. And he is usually very, very dapper. So for me as a learning chair, my number one question and focus is, how do I get members to connect to other members outside of Forum on a genuine level? And my question I asked in that survey was, what is something on your bucket list? I thought this is kind of an off-the-wall question, but it'll give me some context as to who's in our membership and how I can maybe connect them on, like-minded interests. So Chris St. Clair, skydiving is on his bucket list. Mr. Dan Dembski, cooking is on his bucket list. Julie Mitchell is photography. Ray Minato is to jam on stage with either Rush or Foo Fighters. So he's not picky. And I actually had a friend of mine who did it with Journey. He did 5 songs with Journey before they actually did their concert. So it is feasible, not cheap. But if you want to know how to do it, I don't know where you are, Ray. But I can fill you in if you're interested. Pete Ferrante wants to dive with the sharks. Richard Cooper wants to fly a MiG jet to Mach 2 and survive. John Ricci also wants to fly a MiG jet, but he wants to take it to the edge of outer space. Libby Wildman wants to be a trapeze for a day and be caught, she said. And Steve Kearley wants to golf with Alice Cooper. So this brings us, sorry? So this brings us to EO experiences. These are basically bucket list events that I set up that I thought we could do. Obviously, geography permitting, we can't, dive with sharks in Lake Ontario or something like that. So we decided to set up a few events. Now, for those of you who know me, know I always try to push myself outside my comfort zone as much as possible. I've learned kind of the hard way through entrepreneurship that in life you need to stretch yourself, or life or business will find a way to stretch you. So because of that, our first EO Experience event is August 27th. It's a skydiving event. For those, I mean, many of you wouldn't know this, I'm absolutely terrified of heights, like get on a ladder, terrified of heights. So I will be going to this. So if for no reason at all, you can just come and see me. There'll probably be video footage. I lose my damn mind at 10,000 feet. But that's August 27th. Our next EO Experience event is January 9th. This is an experience/spousal event where we learn salsa dancing. Originally, some people had tango lessons or tango dancing in their bucket list. I was in Argentina in May, and I tried to pick up some tango there. And I'm not a good dancer, but it's a tough dance to learn. So I thought it'd be a little more fun. Entrepreneurs usually are not good dancers, so I thought salsa is probably a good one to do. And I also did that a week before our EO winter event, or EO social, so that you don't look like a fool on the dance floor. Our third EO experience, and we may add more, is a cooking class on May 16th, so the details are to be announced for that. But these two events, you can sign up right now on the EO calendar. So question 2 in the survey I sent out was, who's a speaker you'd really like to see in EO? And the top 4 results were Seth Godin, who's somewhat a personal mentor of mine, Tim Ferriss, who's a friend of mine, which I may try to actually do my best to kind of secure him, Jim Collins, who is not a friend of mine nor a mentor of mine, but you never know, I'm still young, and Richard Branson. Now, for those of you who don't know, so it is in Google Images, this is a once in a lifetime with Richard Branson. So for those of you who don't know, Richard Branson is, and Bashir wants to be on Richard Branson's back. So Richard Branson, sorry? So Richard Branson, incredible entrepreneur, absolutely brutal speaker. Plus he charges about $250,000 for a talk, so you won't be seeing him in my calendar this year, unfortunately. Now I know why I charge so much. Sorry? I tried to find her name, I had no luck. So question 3. So who is one local entrepreneur or business that you'd like for us to showcase in our behind the scenes? So Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment was at the top. I'm trying my best to work with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment right now. If anybody actually has a contact, like a solid contact in there, please let me know, because that would help me out immensely. But I have a backup plan. We've actually partnered with Rotman School of Management. They're doing 3 events that we're partnered with this year. They're doing one with Richard Petty, who was the CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment for 15 years. On October 29th, you can simply go into your EO event thing and sign up for it. I think we have 40 spots available. Another one that people asked for was FreshBooks. Mike McDermott is a great entrepreneur. This is kind of like a local tech company that's been rather successful. They have over 100 employees, over 5 million users. They're known for their culture, but specifically for their customer service. They've won the Stevie Award for Best Customer Service in their class. So we're doing an event with them on February 18th. And whenever I think of networking, I always think Mr. Rogers. He has a quote that there isn't anyone you couldn't learn to love once you've heard their story. And if I'm able to build genuine connections amongst members who possibly wouldn't have connected otherwise, then I've done my goal. I believe that you'll be able to create more value if I'm able to do that than if I brought Richard Branson to an event. So all of our events all the way up until January are open for registration now. Christine sent an email out yesterday, and one of the events is already half sold out. It's our mastermind dinners. I'll talk about that in a quick second. So that's half sold out, and some of the restaurants are already sold out. So that is one specifically that you guys should jump on right away if you're interested. But I'm actually going to jump into like a few events that should be on your calendar. I mean, we have 26 events scheduled. There'll probably be more, which is, I think, a record for the chapter. Sorry? Take as long as I need. I'm a learning chair. Our mastermind dinners is happening on September 17th. Basically like our dine-arounds, but they're happening at restaurants across the city in private dining rooms. There'll be a party host at each dinner to help kind of facilitate people connecting, but very similar to our dine-arounds. And that's the one basically you would go into the EO portal, sign up for the event, and then pick which restaurant you want to go to. And there's only 8 spots per restaurant. And like I said, some of them are already sold out. The future of business. So this event is to kind of bring you up to speed with some new emerging technologies, mainly 3D printing. Now, some people may not be either familiar with 3D printing or may not think it's going to affect their business. You know, if you're not, it's not going to affect your business. You're going to have one of these in your home in 3 to 5 years anyways. 6 months ago, somebody was able to print out a functioning gun from home from a 3D printer. So there's lots of implications with the technology, and we have a professor from Cornell to come to talk to us. Plus, we're also trying to get a company to bring in Google Glasses to show us, you know, how they work, and also if we could kind of try them on. And that was through a connection with Dan Dembski, so thank you for that. So that's going to be an interesting event. EO Connect, this is like a speed networking event where, I mean, basically you'll be able to condense, I think, years of networking into just 2 hours. Because there's no better way to efficiently meet members than at this speed networking event. They've done similar ones at EO Detroit, and it's been the highest rated event by far. They almost get 90% of their membership show up to it. The first year was soft because nobody knew what it was, but I'm really trying to get as many members as I can out to it. Our EO Winter Social, January 15th, we have two social chairs that just got on board, Tina Horowitz and Christine Russell. So they will be helping plan it, but January 15th is the date. And our 100K event, and this is something I'm really trying to push for March 7th. I was on the phone with EO Buffalo. They have a small chapter, they're like 44, but they do this mega event every year. And people think it's a fantastic event. So we're actually gonna partner with them and go to their event, and they're gonna come to ours. And I plan to do a full day event. Try to bring in one big name speaker, leverage a lot of the wisdom within the membership, and try to make a big event out of it. So that's March 7th. I want to get as many members as possible because it will be a great event. This is also going to be open to potential kind of EO members. So if you have a friend who's interested in EO, for a small fee, they'll be able to attend the event as well. And it'll be a great membership driver as well. And for those of you in the room who've been with EO 7+ years, anybody here 7+ years? Okay, so we're doing an EO Platinum experience for you guys. I just want to recognize, you know, your loyalty to EO. The details are to be announced, but basically it's going to be, you know, open to only those who've been with us for 7+ years. And that's it. Last thing, I'm going to send out a survey again in 2-3 days. One of the pressing things we're battling with on the learning side, and I like being fully transparent as to, you know, anything we're kind of struggling with, is integrating sponsors into the events. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like we need sponsors obviously for financial reasons to put on these incredible events. However, sponsors need some kind of, you know, placement in front of our membership. So traditionally, and I've approached other learning chairs and other chapters as to what best practice is, and there's really no good best practice around it. So I'm a firm believer that, you know, any problem can be solved with the right network, and I think this is a fantastic network. So if anybody has any unique ideas of how we can integrate sponsors into events that would be beneficial for the membership and beneficial for the sponsors, please, please, please let me know. Because I don't want to bring in sponsors to do sponsor events and then have something similar like MMP. I respect your time immensely, and I don't want to, I mean, we have a certain level of trust, and I want to keep that, so I want to give you only the best of events. So any way you can think that we can create unique events with the sponsors, that'd be great. And that's it.